Welcome to this lesson to help you learn English with the news. We're going to read a news article together, and you're going to learn a lot of advanced vocabulary, complex sentence structure, advanced grammar, and even correct pronunciation directly by reading this article with me. Welcome back to JForrest English Training. Of course, I'm Jennifer, and this is your place to become a fluent, confident English speaker. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to our article. I'm sure you recognize Prince Harry, and you may know that he just released a memoir called Spare. That's what we're talking about today, and I'm sure that's what many people around the world are talking about right now. So let's read the headline. Prince Harry's memoir, Spare, which captures the ugly side of royal life, hits bookshelves. Now let's talk about the title of this memoir. A memoir is simply a book that talks about your own experience or memories, a memoir. Now, spare in English is an adjective. It's an adjective, and it means extra or additional that's not in use. So not in use, so that means that's available. That's not in use, that's available. For example, I could say, do you have an umbrella? Now, if I wanted to be more specific, I could say, do you have a spare umbrella? Remember, as an adjective, it comes before the noun, and it just lets you know that I don't want your umbrella if you're using it. I want an additional umbrella that you're not using. So you might say, do you have a spare pen? If you're in a class and you're taking notes, or you want to take notes and you don't have a pen, you could turn to someone and say, do you have a spare pen? So I would guess that spare in this context is referring to the fact that he is like the extra member of the royal family, not in use, because there's no way he's ever going to become king, because his older brother William is going to be king. So he's like the spare. That's what I would guess. I don't know if that's true or not. Now let's talk about this. Hits bookshelves. Hits bookshelves. So hit is our verb, to hit. It's being used in a different way, of course, because hit is this. That's the verb to hit. But to hit a bookshelf, when a product hits a location, it simply means to become available. To become available. So I'll write that out because it's used in the context of when a product hits a location, it becomes available. So you might ask, let's say a new iPhone was released or is going to be released. You might ask, when does the new iPhone hit the store, hit the shelves, hit the internet, because you can buy it online, right? Movies, when does that new movie hit the theaters, become available in the theaters? So it's very commonly used. So when does his new memoir became available, hit the bookshelves? All right, let's continue on. Prince Harry's memoir was released Tuesday. This is when it hit bookshelves, Tuesday. Not only offering. Right now, when I see this, not only, I know that later on in the sentence, they're going to say, but also. Not only, but also, because those two go together. So let's find out where they say that. Not only offering new details on the British royal family's bitter internal feud after days of bombshell revelations and promotional interviews. Whoa, that was quite long, actually. But also describing. So we use this expression not only, but also when we want to talk about two different benefits or features or points about one thing. So you might say, the book not only talks about the royal family, but also talks about his relationship with Meghan Markle, his wife. For example, not only, and then you have your clause, but also, and then you have your second clause, your second point. So that's a very advanced structure. It's a nice structure, so you can practice using that in your own. We use this a lot in written English, but you can absolutely use it in spoken English as well. So we have not only, but also. Let's also look at this. Bitter, bitter, bitter. Bitter is an adjective. When someone is bitter, they're angry or upset about something that they just can't forget about. So let's say last week or 2 weeks ago, a friend didn't invite you to their party. So you're angry and upset. You were angry and upset at the time, but 2 weeks later, you're still angry and upset. So the anger and the feelings of being upset have lasted because of that event. That's when you would say, she's bitter. She's been angry and upset for a long time. Angry and upset about a past event, I'll say. And you're still angry and upset now. So the family's bitter feud. A feud is a fight. It's another way of saying fight. Their feud. I do hear this quite a lot in the media to describe when two people are fighting. It could be a family, it could be within a company, it could be friends, celebrities. I often hear them describe it as a feud in the media, but honestly, in my own speech, in speech with my friends, movies, I don't hear that a lot. I hear it more specifically in the media. In everyday context, we just say fight. The family's bitter internal fight. After days of bombshell revelations. Now, a bombshell is an announcement that has a really big impact. Because a bomb, imagine a bomb. Right? So imagine you deliver news to someone and there's a big impact of that. In this case, a revelation is information that wasn't available, secret information, and now it is available. And by describing it as a bombshell, it had a big impact. So that's a bombshell revelation. Just information being shared that has a very big impact. Let's continue on, but also describing how he fell headlong in love with his future wife, Meghan Markle. So this was quite a long paragraph, and then I summarized it in this very short paragraph. The media does that. They like to use additional adjectives to make it sound really important or entertaining when you can say the same thing in a more simple way. Okay, let's continue on. While many of the details from the book, titled Spare, have already been reported, its release at midnight Monday local time will allow the public to get their hands on a copy of a memoir filled with glimpses into a rarefied family riven by disagreement and distrust. When you get your hands on something. So notice the sentence structure. Our verb is the verb get. One's hands. The one in this case is the subject they, so it's their as the possessive pronoun. To get one's hands, plural, hands, on is our preposition, and then something. When you get your hands on something, it just means that you have it. And we usually use this when the something might be difficult to obtain, or there's some sort of significance in obtaining. Let's say there were only 10 iPhones that hit the shelves, and I was able to get my hands on one. I was able to obtain one, and that is special or significant because there aren't many available. So here's the example sentence. And remember, get one's hands. So you need to match the possessive pronoun to the subject. So I put that here for you as well. So you remember one's hands. Let's continue on. Okay, with glimpses into. Glimpses into. When you glimpse at something, you look at something quickly, and you don't necessarily see the whole thing. You just see a part of it. So let's say I'm driving. I might glimpse at a billboard. A billboard is just a poster that you see on a highway. So I'm driving and I glimpse at it. I can't stare at it or look at it for a long time because I'm driving. I have to pay attention to the road. So I might glimpse at it quickly. So to look at something quickly. So that, let me write that for you. So to glimpse at something is to look at something quickly. So in this context, if we get a glimpse into the royal family, it means we get to look at the royal family, but only briefly, because we only get to see what the memoir shares with us, right? So that's what it's trying to let us know. We get to look at the royal family, but only a little bit. Rarefied is an adjective, and as an adjective, it means not ordinary. So of course, the royal family is not ordinary. They're extraordinary. They're rarefied. So we use this as an adjective to describe the family. They're rarefied, the rarefied family. So if there is a company that is quite different from ordinary companies, you might say it's a rarefied company. For example, I don't think you'll use this adjective too much in your vocabulary, but just to understand the article. A rarefied family riven by disagreement. Riven by is another way of saying divided by, because you have your family as a whole. The family is not arguing. They're together. But if the family is divided, riven by, it means the disagreement caused the family to separate, to become divided, riven by. So this is another way of saying divided by disagreement. Let's continue on. Some Britons flocked to bookshops overnight to be among the first to buy a copy of Spare. When you flock to a location, it describes when a large number of people go to a location, generally at or around the same time. So you might say that people flocked to the Apple store when the new iPhone hit the shelves. When the new iPhone hit the shelves, they flocked to. So a large number of people, and they generally went around the same time because the iPhone was released at a specific date and time, and that's when everybody went. So to flock to, a large number of people. Let's continue on. Some of the book's most eye-catching passages include allegations that Harry's brother and heir to the throne, Prince William, physically attacked him during a dispute, that his stepmother Camilla, the queen consort, leaked private conversations to bolster her reputation, and that his father, King Charles III, had pleaded with his sons to not make his final years a misery with their arguing. So remember, we learned another word for fighting. We could say with their arguing, with their fighting, with their feuding. That could be another word, with their feuding. So I'll leave that there. When something is eye-catching, it means that your eye is drawn to it. So your eye naturally goes to it. It is more interesting, or it stands out more. It gets your attention. That's eye-catching. So the passage is just right now we're reading a passage of this article. So it's a piece of the article, and eye-catching is most interesting parts, passages, most interesting. Now it could be another adjective, interesting, engaging, most entertaining, for example, but I'll just say most interesting. An allegation is when someone accuses someone else. You did this. That's my allegation against you. So Harry had allegations against his brother, William. You did this. That's what he said in the book. So he physically attacked him. So physical means that there was violence involved. He touched him. He maybe hit him. We don't know, but there's some sort of physicalness. Attacked him during a dispute. Dispute is another word for fight. During a fight or an argument, or again, a feud, we could say. Camilla leaked. When you leak something, it's when you make it available, but it should not be available. So these private conversations, they're private for a reason. But if you leak them, it's when I say, oh, here's the conversation, and I give it to you, but you shouldn't have it. So that is the verb to leak. This is a verb. I know it's a verb because it's conjugated in the past simple. So to make information available when it shouldn't be, because it's private information. It's not supposed to be public. To bolster her reputation. Bolster in this sense is another way of saying to improve, to increase, to bolster her reputation. To improve or increase, but in this case it's improve, because you don't necessarily increase a reputation, but you can improve it. A lot of people don't like Camilla, right? She has a negative reputation. She wants to improve it, to bolster it. Now, I think to plead with someone is please don't. That's to plead with someone. To plead with his sons not to make his final years a misery. A misery would be terrible. A misery with their arguing, feuding, disputing, or fighting. Let's continue on. The publication of such a frank and revealing account is a near unprecedented event in the centuries-old history of Britain's royals, who, as Harry has pointed out, double as both a family and national institution. The book has led to questions over whether it could deal lasting damage to the monarchy, even asking whether its future existence is now less certain. Okay, a frank and revealing account. Frank is another way of saying honest, an honest. And revealing, I'll just write this first, honest. Revealing is when you share a lot of details. So that comes from the verb to reveal, which means to share with details. So to reveal a lot of details or information, to share. Share a lot of details or information. And then frank means honest. An unprecedented event is an event that doesn't happen very often. It's never happened. It's unprecedented. Now, unprecedented on its own means that it's never happened before. But when you say near unprecedented, it means that it's almost. So near means almost in this sense. So it's implying that it's almost never happened before. And the event is sharing so much information about the royal family publicly, leaking that information, giving you a glimpse into the private life of the royals. Okay. And our final paragraph. Harry has said that he still wants a reconciliation with his family. When you have a reconciliation, it's when, two parties, they're disputing, they're feuding, they're fighting. But if they reconcile, which is the verb to reconcile, is when they come back together as a family. So right now there's Prince Harry here, and there's Prince William, Prince Charles, or King Charles here. They're divided, right? So to bring them back together, that's to reconcile. Reconciliation is just the noun of it, to reconcile. We use this a lot in a legal context because if a husband and wife, they separate, which is a legal event when they no longer want to be married. But then if they reconcile, it means they do want to be married again and they do not end their marriage. That's reconcile. So to become friendly again after a dispute, to reconcile. So he wants to reconcile. He wants a reconciliation with his family and believes one is possible, but asked whether he had burned his bridges with his father and brother. To burn one's bridge is an idiom. So imagine right now, if I'm here and I want to get there and there's a bridge, I can easily go back and forth between the two, right? But if I burn the bridge is no longer there. I can't get there, right? So it's when you act in a way that makes reconciliation impossible, or act in a way that it's impossible to get to something else. So a lot of people are advised when you quit your job, don't burn your bridges, because you want to be able to go back to that job in the future. How could you burn your bridges? Well, if you tell your boss, you were the worst employer I ever had, I hated working for you, you're a jerk, and you do something that makes it so your employer would never want to work with you again. So that bridge to that job is gone, right? So here I've added the definition and the example. Don't burn your bridges when you quit. So be very polite, friendly, because you may need a reference from your company, or you may want to go back to that company in the future. So that's the article. I'm sure there's a lot more interesting details about this new memoir, Spare. Are you going to read it? Share it in the comments if you plan on reading this memoir. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the article from start to finish in full so you can practice along with my pronunciation. Let's do that now. Prince Harry's memoir, Spare, which captures the ugly side of royal life, hits bookshelves. Prince Harry's memoir was released Tuesday, not only offering new details on the British royal family's bitter internal feud after days of bombshell revelations and promotional interviews, but also describing how he fell headlong in love with his future wife, Meghan Markle. While many of the details from the book, titled Spare, have already been reported, its release at midnight Monday local time will allow the public to get their hands on a copy of a memoir filled with glimpses into a rarefied family riven by disagreement and distrust. Some Britons flocked to bookshops overnight to be among the first to buy a copy of Spare. Some of the book's most eye-catching passages include allegations that Harry's brother and heir to the throne, Prince William, physically attacked him during a dispute, that his stepmother, Camilla, the queen consort, leaked private conversations to bolster her reputation, and that his father, King Charles III, had pleaded with his sons to not make his final years a misery with their arguing. The publication of such a frank and revealing account is a near unprecedented event in the centuries-old history of Britain's royals, who, as Harry has pointed out, double as both a family and national institution. The book has led to questions over whether it could deal lasting damage to the monarchy, even asking whether its future existence is now less certain. Harry has said that he still wants a reconciliation with his family and believes one is possible, but asked whether he had burned his bridges with his father and brother.
Amazing job with this lesson. Now, you can look in the description or look in the comment section below to find the link where you can download the free lesson PDF that summarizes everything we learned in this lesson. And if you found this lesson helpful, please hit the like button, share it with your friends, and of course, subscribe. And before you go, make sure you head on over to my website, JForrestEnglish.com, and download your free speaking guide. In this guide, I share 6 tips on how to help you speak English fluently and confidently. And until next time, happy studying!